Hello and welcome to episode number 65 of GirlStreamers. GirlStreamers is a podcast bringing you the girl streamers that you know and love. GirlStreamers is a community that supports and promotes girls that stream. We are a bi-weekly podcast and normally we are live, but this week is a pre-recorded cast featuring Rachel Seltzer, Quirico, an eSports host and social media influencer. When we record this episode, it was at the beginning of Phase 1 of the MPL, which is in a PUBG league. I am your host, Nymphadora, and remember, you can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as a video portion on YouTube. How did you come up with your screen name? Where does Seltzer come from?
Oh, Seltzer. It was when I was making my gamer tag when I was joining PMS clan, which had to be like 2006 or 7 or something. My old tag was like my aim tag. I don't even want to say it. It's like embarrassing and silly, but I knew I had to rebrand and I wanted something kind of like gender neutral and like that I hadn't seen and I could still score on a lot of websites. And I looked around and I had all these empty vintage seltzer cans around me on the counter and I was like, oh yeah, it's perfect. You know, it wasn't quite a brand name, but
Nice.
I always thought like a lot more people would even like know what seltzer is, but so many times I've been at an event and people have been like, so what is seltzer? I'm like, well, have you ever had like a Sprite from a fast food place and it came and didn't have any sugar or flavor in it? That's seltzer. I didn't realize it wasn't like a universal thing, but it's been a great talking point throughout the years.
That's awesome. That is hilarious. I love those people. I love when people like just come up with stuff that they see. Because I, like, myself, I had at one point the AIM name, which nobody could pronounce. So I had to change it to something else, and which is where you get Nymphadora from. But that's because that's my favorite character.
Character from what?
Harry Potter.
Oh, from Harry Potter. Nymphadora Tonks.
Yeah. I couldn't have Tonks for some reason. I guess everybody had Tonks, so I was like, fine, I'll go with Nymphadora. Even though I spelled the name wrong. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So, oh my god, my dog just farted. I also love
Harry Potter, so that's fine. Oh man. Pets are little stink bombs. You put food in and cute comes out. But sometimes other things come out too.
Oh my god. Oh my god. It is bad. It is so bad. She's like right there. My dog's name is Tonks. Tonks and Remus are my dogs, by the way.
That's so cute.
You said you have cats, right?
I have 2 kitty cats, and they are Squall and Cloud.
So, oh, I love it.
You can really tell the fandoms by the pets.
Yeah. So I lost my train of thought because of the freaking dog fart. I actually had another follow-up question for you, but I guess I'll go on to the next question. So where do you hail from?
I come from New Jersey, from Central Jersey. I went to Rutgers for college.
Nice.
And yeah, it's pretty cool because a lot of people in eSports actually come from Jersey. It's been funny talking about it over the years, but
that's so
we
funny.
all eat the same restaurants and got the same fat sandwiches.
Do you ever get back to Jersey? Like, is family still back there?
Yeah, my family's still back there, so I try and travel back a lot, and I still, I see my college friends and stuff. It's a good crew back there.
That's awesome. You don't have the New Jersey accent though.
Yeah, it's I've been conscious like talking on camera to try and be more clear and well spoken. But absolutely, like it gets pretty bad, and I don't like to do it because it sounds like a caricature. But you'll know when we're there.
I totally understand because I am from the South, and when you got a Southern accent, people think you sound unintelligent. So
I think it sounds adorable. Both of my bosses at CSA have Southern accents, and they just sound like the nicest gentlemen all the time.
The Southern gentleman accent, though, that's a beautiful accent. That's a very beautiful accent. I will admit that, because it does sound like that whole like Rhett Butler gentleman. Like you just fall in love with them. You're just like, oh yeah, nice. I remember my follow-up question. Are you still with PMS Clan? Do you still do a lot of stuff with them?
I mean, I haven't. I used to compete with them back in Team Fortress 3 days, and I certainly haven't been competing over the years. But I still identify as PMS clan. I'm still
Right.
happy to meet other people from PMS. They were at TwitchCon recently. They spent, I think, the first day of TwitchCon in the Diversity Lounge, trying to I think they're doing a bit of a relaunch. So if and when they do that, I'm absolutely going to be on board. I still love everyone that I met from PMS, and I still see so many PMS clan members working in all these different branches of the gaming industry.
That's awesome. Because I remember you were telling me about it at TwitchCon, and I went down there, but there was nobody there the day I went down there. I probably just happened to miss them. Um, and I haven't followed up because of my move and all of that lovely stuff. But I still am very, very interested because they sound like an amazing, amazing group to just get to know and kind of hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, so many people over the years, like I said, from the industry that I've gotten to be friends with came from PMS clan, and they gave me a lot of my first opportunities to stand on a stage, hold a microphone, represent different gaming brands and travel to events, and they were kind of the first step into the industry for a lot of people. So I'm excited that they would come back and offer these opportunities again.
Do you miss actually competing? Like, do you even compete anymore?
I mean, I'm a very competitive person, so when I play, I'm always trying to win. But as far as an organized practice and playing in online leagues, we used to play TWL and CPL, and oh gosh, this was back when CGS even had an online TF2 league. And we would practice and we would run strats and we would get into maps and not even not even shoot, not even run strategies, but just time ourselves from spawn to the center point, how quickly we could get there, what routes to
Holy
take.
cow.
It was insane, but it felt really great too. That is my phone, and I'm talking to you. You are misbehaved. You need to chill. Thinking of my friends back in Jersey. Oh, they're popping up and saying hi.
Was that Pikachu I just heard?
Absolutely, it's been Pikachu for as long as I've had a cell phone that you could program. Because if I
That's
change it, I don't hear it.
hilarious. That is fantastic. Well, I follow you on social media and I see you posting about Pokemon Go all the time.
I love Pokemon so much. And Pokemon Go, I was just playing as I was getting my coffee at Starbucks, because every Starbucks is a Pokestop. So
Right? Right? Exactly. I mean, it was smart. It was brilliant to be a Pokestop because now people will, the nerds will come in and hang out.
not only that, when I travel to new cities all the time, and usually I get to my hotel and I'm like, okay, where can I get a goddamn coffee? And I open up Pokemon Go because that's my favorite thing to do in the cities I travel to. And I can find oh, boop, there's one 2 blocks away, and I don't even have to open up Google Maps. I don't have to do a search. I don't have to minimize Pokemon Go to do my two favorite things, which is drink cold brew and catch Pokemon.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Holy cow, that is absolutely brilliant. Like, I've never even thought about that. That's amazing. Cuz I mean, granted, Starbucks can get pricey, but I do love a good mocha from Starbucks. They have good mochas.
Oh my
And their
goodness.
frappuccinos are amazing. So, yeah, if there's a Starbucks, you're good. You're good.
Well, it's,
Um
it's like comfort food wherever you go in the
yeah,
world. The Starbucks is the same, at least.
exactly. Exactly. So, um do you ever play TF2 anymore? Because I remember when I started playing that game and I had no idea what I was getting into with that game, and now I'm like obsessed with Overwatch, which is basically TF2 on crack, right?
I mean, kind of the same thing happened. I played TF2. We competed in it, and then I had this server that I played on, the Lion's Den, and we just had it was the best time. You'd get on, it's the same people every night, and you'd laugh and joke around, and then it was like Cheers. I'll be like, "See you guys tomorrow," uh, and
It's a
I
good
was
game.
yeah, dude, it was so good, and it combined so many fun things. The voice chat, you never really minded when you died. You could run silly strategies, all the
Yep.
content around it was so good. I definitely, Overwatch has kind of taken over that come home from work, what do you want to play? Let's get in a few, ranked games or something. But I at the same time, because it's not server based, I don't have that same feeling of just hopping in with the same 25 people and messing around.
That's a fair point. I forgot about the servers in TF2. I played with my little brother. He's the one who actually got me into it, and then some of our friends. And so we would all hop on together and play together. And that's right. I totally forgot about the server.
Yeah, right. Because you could
set
keep
up.
talking to each other and like
Yeah.
you'd start a new game. You'd switch sides. You know play with the same people but different people.
That definitely had it was almost like an MMO setup the way it was, but it was a first person shooter. And yeah, holy crap, man.
I sent you down memory lane.
Yeah.
This is really even before items were in that game because
Oh yeah.
I got that like vintage item set and I'm like, what the hell is this crap? And then like, you started getting those AFK servers, people just farming items, like things popping up while you're running around, and I'm like, what is happening? I hate this. So I mean, I left TF2 I think before most people even started playing TF2, and I had a long career in that game. So it's funny to think how long that game has been running.
Yeah, holy crap. I left it when the hats started coming in because I got so annoyed at people just randomly popping up to try and trade hats, and I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to play the game. That's when I stopped. I was done.
Yeah, I read about then.
So what's the first game then that got you just hooked on video games?
I mean, oh gosh, I talk a lot about like early on I played with my mom. She would bring home floppy disk games and play for me, and I would watch her. But we were lucky enough to kind of we had the Nintendo, I think the 64, and we had a PlayStation 1. And between those two consoles, I mean, all the Mario games, a lot of Mario Party and Kart with like kids from the neighborhood. But I got super into it. I would walk into like what is it, EB Games or whatever they had back then.
Oh my
like,
god, yes, I remember that.
all these relics of like gaming past, and like walk around and just buy like the most adorable anime cover game. And because of that, I played some really cool games like Legends of Mana. But then I also played some really like nobody's ever heard of that, what are you doing games, like Setsuna's Quest of Diamonds, and it just because it had a cute anime cover. So like I have like a halfway relatable game experience. But the one that drove me nuts was Monster Rancher 2. Did you ever play that game on PlayStation?
I did not, because I didn't have a PlayStation 1, but I've had quite a few ladies talk about that game on the podcast, actually. So I've heard of it.
This game is the shit! Like, it was so good. Oh, dude, I tore my house apart playing this game, because what it was it was like kind of similar to Pokemon. You wanted to get all the monsters that you could, and the way you would get monsters is in the game you would go to the shrine, and when you got to the shrine, the PlayStation would open up and you would take out the Monster Rancher 2 CD and you would put in any other like remotely kind of CD like object into the PlayStation and shut it, and it would spin and then would pop back up, and you put Monster Rancher back in and it'd be like, you got boop this monster. And so like I would have
so random.
Dude, it was so good. It would read like the some sort of code on the CD and just like randomize a monster. And sometimes like it would be really funny. I forget some of the tie-ins, but like if you put in like Eye of the Tiger, sometimes you get like a Tiger of the Wind,
What? That's so wild.
But I would just keep these like legal pads full of like, this CD gives you this like monster.
That's such a gamer thing.
Internet. It wasn't even like you couldn't even go to like I don't know, NeoGAF or wherever you would get this kind of information, share it. There was no 4chan at the time. There was nowhere to go and like get guides. So
that's amazing. That is amazing.
Personal insanity.
Oh my god, that is hilarious. I never played that game, and now I feel like I'm missing out. I did the personally N64, Super Nintendo. I actually had access to an Atari, but it wasn't the first thing I played on. The Nintendo was the first thing that I actually played on. I'm sorry, my phone keeps vibrating.
No, they were great games for Nintendo. I remember, did you get Hey You Pikachu by any chance?
I did not.
Oh boy, that game was crazy.
But I remember this game called Nemo's crap. It was it was like my favorite yeah, Little Nemo Dream Master. I had to
Little
look it up.
Nemo Dream Master.
Yes, I will link it to you. I found some gameplay the other day on YouTube. It's a I loved this game so fucking much. Like, I never beat it. It's by Capcom, and I would love if they would like have a revamp or something of it so I could finish the damn game.
One day at E3, they're gonna be like, and now the re-release of Little Nemo's Dream Master, and everyone's gonna look around and be like, "What the hell is this?" And I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna be like, "Nymphadora told me about this game. It's gonna be amazing."
So you're like this.
They're just mining the past for all these games to release now. Like, there's a good chance you might get your wish.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it. So you're like this kid who goes to sleep and you're traveling basically through his dreams to get these keys to open these doors, and you're just going through this fantastical just crazy, like crazy ass dreams. You have to defeat this like toad monster guy with a top hat, and he's just so annoying, and he rides on like a blimp, and it's just it's yeah. I think this is the first time I've actually brought it up. But the music, I loved the music in that game. Watch that video later and you'll hear, like, it's just, the music is just so catchy and like almost kind of spooky at the same time. So, I mean, it was right up my alley. If you're a Tim Burton fan and you like video games, this game's probably right up your alley because it's kind of got a spooky vibe to it. Yeah, so that's the first. I don't think I've ever actually talked to anybody about that game.
Really, like, bubble up from your memory. I had a moment like that. I walked into my little brother's room when I was home visiting, and he had like some of our old game CDs on the shelf, and he had Kuba, which Kuba, I think it was this like marble game.
I remember that game.
You remember this game?
Yeah.
Where it was so satisfying. So there was these big like marble spheres, and they would just like clunk, clunk, clunk around this like board. I don't even know what the point is. I think it was like some knockoff of like Go. But yeah, that was the early CD I had. And then After Dark Games, did you ever play these? It features very prominently like a toaster with wings in its...
Oh, yes. Yes. I remember the After Dark Games. Yeah.
It was a little suite of like 10 or 11 games, and I don't know. I played that for years.
That is, yeah. Holy crap. I totally remember all of those, because they had like, oh my god, so many different things in it. I remember one of those CD games, like the After Dark games, that had this like troll thing where you had to like go through this like little adventure world and fill up this like huge cauldron for these little trolls. I don't remember what it was called, but I remember it was one of my favorite ones. This is one of those random CDs that had like 1,000 games on it that were probably absolutely garbage for your computer, but everybody bought them anyway.
That was before, I mean, there wasn't even like spyware to like there was nothing on my computer for spyware to get at, so like people were just like, look at this game I made, and you were like, yeah, I'll put that on my computer without questioning at all. Yeah. Let me just go into the DOS screen and enable like entire
oh my god time. Oh, it was a different time. It was a scary time. I was so
starved for games that, do you remember Encyclopedia Encarta? Those,
yes,
like, red CDs, and it had all the, it was just encyclopedia. I would first of all just read articles like all damn day, like a little nerd. But it had a game on it called Mind Maze.
I remember that because we totally had it.
It was a castle, and like all the rooms were like fog of war, and you would like choose a way to go, and every time you wanted to enter a new room, you had to like answer a question from the encyclopedia.
Yeah. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that game. Oh my god. You
This
could
is the
probably
best.
update something like that and still be a solid game because it's simple. It's just a knowledge based game. Damn, man.
I feel that way about every game we've mentioned so far, though. Like, if you could do them, like, in 1990 on a Game Boy or something, like, you should be able to just re-release it as a Flash game, so I can relive
Right?
my youth.
Oh man. I mean, if Oregon Trail can be remade 1,000 times and be available for people to play, you could do these games.
Yeah, Jackbox Games keeps doing it. I played that game my whole life, I feel like.
And I'm loving like the reincarnations and stuff. Like all of the Jackbox games are hilarious and fun, and I love that they've integrated them into Twitch as well, so people can actually stream them with uh, their community, which is really cool. Because the first one was not Twitch friendly or streamer friendly.
Yeah, it's definitely, like, now you can sit in the living room and play from your cell phone, things like that.
Yeah, I love that. It's so cool. So, what do you? Speaking of streaming, do you stream at all? Do you even have time to stream?
I actually, unfortunately, don't get a chance to stream as much as I would like to, just because it's been, I mean, you and I can relate trying to lock down our schedules just for this podcast. It's bananas, and I should, because I've met so many cool people through streaming, and I just, like, I feel like even if it's been a year and I turn my stream back on, like, a couple people that I have made a connection with always end up showing up again. Maybe it's time for my yearly check-in. But this is how I always feel when somebody brings up streaming. Do you stream? No, I really, really, really should.
Look, when you don't have time, you don't have time. You can't help it. I mean, you are out there. I mean, you were just doing casting this weekend. Like, I wasn't even sure you'd be able to make it because I knew it'd be cutting it close to record today because you just got home or just got done. What?
You're being very generous about the 4 interviews I do 2 days a week. I was able to make it work, having finished that sometime around 4 p.m. on Saturday.
Oh, see, I thought you were doing it until Sunday as well.
Oh no, luckily, so I'm doing the NPL Phase 1, that's the National PUBG League, and that's out of the OGN studio here in Southern California. And so Fridays and Saturdays are when the season plays out.
Oh,
So
okay. For
if
some
you're in
reason,
the
I was
area,
thinking it said Sunday as well.
we did that for the first week. We did a preseason, and then Sunday we did a show match for.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah. Yeah, since we live here, we'll probably take you up on that offer because that's something I think would be really cool to go. I like PUBG. What
And it's amazing to see how much, like, I've been doing this esports hosting thing for a while, and the first week was really impressive, but then the first day, Friday, we wrapped up the show and we were like, oh my god, we had no delays, no technical difficulties, no rematches, no, not that you can pause, no
Nice.
pauses, like, nobody had a hot mic, nobody had, like, it was like a blessed broadcast. I was like, I don't think I've ever been a part of something that's been so smooth. And then the experience of looking out at the stage for NPL, they have 64 players, so they have 16 player booths, and in the front of them, each one has the player's name, the gun they're using, like how much health they have, and then when they are shot or when they finished in game, their screen X's out and shows that they've died.
Wow.
So to look out
Nice.
over the field of players, like live in game in the audience, is an amazing experience. I never thought we'd get there.
That's pretty cool. So, what all games do you cast? Because I know I've seen you cast Overwatch before. Do you stick to like the shooter games, or do you cast other things?
I'm a bit of a renaissance host in that I can do and I have done like almost any kind of game. And what I usually do is host. I'm not a caster. Casting is requires so much knowledge to have on the top of your head to access over the course of like sometimes like 45 minutes, an hour straight. You have to talk and like remember things about the players
Right.
and make analysis. Like casting is such an intense job that I feel like you really might have to focus on just one genre or even just one game. especially if it has a deep player history. But as a
Okay.
host, I can kind of bounce around a little more because what I do is I do a lot of interviewing with the players. I do a lot of the housekeeping, which is what we call like the welcome to the show. The sponsors are, here's a commercial break. That kind of stuff
Gotcha.
can fit into almost any broadcast. And then,
Sorry, my husband just walked in
oh,
for
hey, what's
lunch.
up? We're talking about video games.
So you host. So there is a distinct difference between hosting and casting. Okay. See, I didn't realize that. I don't know why I didn't realize that. It just kind of, I guess, just went over my head.
No, it's one of those things that's really unique to esports and that has kind of evolved over the years where, it certainly wasn't this case early on. Sometimes I would come in and I would host, cast, open, close, set up the computers, take down the tables at the end of the day. Like that was more than 10 years ago. And now because people have been able to really specialize, roles have really evolved where, a broadcast is a much more polished kind of
Yeah.
production than it ever was before.
So basically, you do what I'm doing to you right now.
Yes, exactly that.
Nice. Very nice. So what's your favorite game right now?
Ugh, see, that's really tough because I play a lot of. I cover esports, and then to like unwind from esports, I play what I call dirt moving games. These are your Minecrafts, your survival crafting games, like I've been playing the New World
Stardew.
to Alpha. Oh yeah, Stardew Valley,
Yeah.
moving a lot of dirt in Stardew Valley.
Have you
Uh,
played Graveyard Keeper yet?
I have not. What is Graveyard Keeper?
Oh,
What
okay.
is Graveyard Keeper?
If you like Stardew and you like games like Stardew and Minecraft, Graveyard Keeper is literally you are playing Stardew, but you're literally a graveyard keeper, and your
Where's this game?
job.
It's not showing up on Steam. What's happening?
It's tiny.
How do
It's
I?
from Tiny Build. It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much.
Oh, thank you for the recommendation. Because once I finished Stardew Valley, I was like, how do I play 18 more Stardew Valleys? And so like
It's
I have
so good.
Slime Rancher is another phenomenal one. I don't know if you've played that one, but
I've
it's
seen
so
it
freaking
on
cute.
Twitch. It is adorable. It is
Music
freaking
and
cute.
noises. There's cat slimes. It has everything.
So
Uh,
Graveyard Keeper, you literally have to you're burying people. Some of them you burn. Depends on how you want to upkeep the graveyard. Um,
this sounds
it,
less cute than Stardew Valley. Do I grow radishes?
no. Well, you can. Yes, you can actually.
Oh,
There is a
wow.
farming part in this, but it's definitely creepy, and you have to figure out why you're the graveyard keeper. The whole premise
Oh no.
is to figure out why you're the graveyard keeper and why you're keeping it. You have to every like I don't know what they call it. I don't remember what the day is called, but it's basically every Sunday. So you have to actually go do a service and get what they call faith, so you can do research and learn more throughout the. It sounds creepy, but it's actually really freaking cute.
I hope it's cute. I am so easily scared by games. I don't know why. I watch the scariest, most horrific horror movies, and I love them, but I cannot.
It's an 8-bit game. Like it's the same like whole setup as Stardew
Oh
Valley.
man,
It's
voxel zombies scare me, man. Like if it's sudden and from the corner of the screen, I'm having a heart attack.
I'm not gonna lie, creepers in Minecraft scare the shit out of me. So you're not alone on that. But yeah, I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. So you should definitely check it out.
I will, but I will trade you. You have to check out Eco. This game is the coolest. It's Minecraft,
Eco.
but there's a meteor in the sky, and you have like 90 days to tech up and destroy that meteor before it destroys the planet. But you got to think about how you're teching up because you could destroy the planet through pollution before the meteor ever even gets there.
What?
Dun! Yes,
Okay.
you have to be like ecologically minded.
Interesting.
You don't want to kill all the wolves because then there's going to be too many bunny rabbits and they're going to eat the plants that you planted. Like this game is so smart and it's so cute and it's Minecraft with a purpose.
Nice. Okay. I dig it. One more game that is very I guess simulation-y. It's called Factorio. It's
Oh,
like,
I love Factorio.
oh, okay, so you played it. Yeah, it's a fun little game. One of my subs actually bought it for me, and I don't play it as much as I should, or as I want to, but it's yeah, like that's a game that I'm not very good at because you have to think of how to set up your factory it's just your
Oh,
whole
I know.
mechanical. I'm so bad at that. I'm so bad at that.
I got recommended that after playing a lot of They Are Billions. Have
They
you
are
tried that one?
billions. No.
I actually have, full disclosure, They Are Billions open and paused right now. Um, although it has been open and paused since like 2 days ago because I've gotten myself in a really good position, but I'm like scared. I don't want to die. You have to like you start out with like some archers and a little soldier and a town hall, and you have to like build up a population and protect it and survive for like 100 days.
Oh, okay. Interesting. It kind of, I mean, I've never played Civ, but it kind of sounds like it's along the lines of like
Yays.
a Civ game. Nice.
Well, if it has my favorite thing in Civ and my favorite thing in There Are Billions is like the first 20 turns where you're like setting up a new little area, and after that it's kind of like take it or leave it. I'm like, if I'm not winning, I don't want to play anymore after 20 turns.
That's fair. That's fair.
I love both those games very, very much. And Civilization on February 14th, coming out with new expansion, got a whole bunch of new world leaders and some new. Oh man, I really play a lot of like not quite esports games. But my dream is to team up with the Civ guys and travel the world to their different world wonders and like host little mini tournaments there and do like a little tourism tour and like
That would be awesome.
bring gamers places. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out excuses for me to go to like.
Did you know that Farming
Kitchen
Simulator was an esport now?
I do. I've actually like when I, as esports host of trying to host all the esports, see things like that, I started studying farming simulator strategies, and I'm like, I've got a pretty good idea now. If they need to call me,
Oh
how
my
to start
god.
it.
So we were reporting on this on the Cosmic Bulletin the other day, and I find this hilarious. Okay, you got to tell me, since you've actually studied it a little bit, what are they doing? Like, what are you doing on an esports game for Farming Simulator?
Well, Nivdora, they're farming. It's like it's kind of like Stardew Valley, like on ultimate min max, like trying to profit. So you
Okay.
start out with some farm, and then you gotta like buy like the highest value crops you can buy, and then grow them, and then sell them, and then buy more, and like maybe invest in animals, and like maybe upgrade your tractors. And it's a lot of like it's like StarCraft, where you have to really make these decisions that are gonna like maximize your time and resources. And I don't think they can ever actually like
Interesting.
I don't know if they can fight. Like I don't know if it gets to the end and it just becomes like battle bots with the threshers, but
That would be awesome.
I was like, I don't know how it culminates in like ultimate action, but yeah, I could definitely see like where the hype would come from, and you could totally have like 100 people playing Farming Simulator next to each other and like checking in on all the games. And
Oh, so it's not like a team thing. It's like you're going up. Basically, it's like a battle royale kind of thing, where
yeah,
you're
it's sort
going
of like
in to see who can make the most money in a certain amount of time. I guess.
yeah, I guess I wonder if they'd all be in individual games, but it kind of would be insane if you just dropped them all into the same like map and had them like go forth and fight.
Well, I don't mean in that essence battle royale. I just mean like physically. It's like, all right, you got 100 people here. Go at it. Who's gonna do the best kind of deal, and then they just slowly drop off because some people are better than others. Until
I don't know. Like, would you randomize the maps? Would you go like, hey, this is a pig round. You got to get most. We got to max pigs. All right, next round is like a wheat round. So like, I don't.
That's
There's
interesting.
so many possibilities.
There is.
I'm so curious. What are they gonna do with it?
Oh man, now we need to have a farming simulator tournament ourselves. That way we can see how it goes.
I'm in. I'm ready to play this game. I'm gonna risk it all for farming sim.
So on these games, like what attracts you the most about these particular games? Is it just because they're so different from the FPS games that you host, or is it just, I don't know, what is it?
Well, it's kind of twofold. Like one of the things I really love, like my core reason for really believing in esports is that I think it's the one venue where kind of anyone can play, anyone can succeed. It doesn't matter like how old you are, what gender you are, like even your physical ability. Shout outs to that adaptive controller Microsoft
Right?
commercial during the Super Bowl. Oh my god, our whole room full of gamer nerds was like, I'm crying. Why am I crying? It's the Super Bowl.
It's awesome.
It's I just love that, you know, in gaming more than in any other sort of form of competition, anyone can be that superstar on the stage, you know, where I'm handing them a bottle of champagne and asking them like, what do you want to say to the people? And so I think that, you know, the more games we can find a competitive, you know, measurement for, the more people, you know, that sort of celebration can be open to. And then with Farming Simulator, I see this game and I'm like, I don't understand a thing about it, and there's a group of people out there that understand this game like at, on some insane level where they know so much and they have broken it down and they are going to show me things that I cannot even conceive of, and that's what excites me about esports. Like that insane final game where someone like pulls out some strategy you've never seen and then someone responds in some way that's only ever possible because of this strategy, and then you see like what the hell, the game crashes because no one's ever made that many pigs before. Like I would be there for a moment.
I now really want to watch Farming Simulator eSports.
You know, they're probably out there like, we've been running this tournament for 4 years, you could watch our VODs, and I'm like, how is it done? Like,
oh my god. No, that's a fair point though. I love that you said that because there are a lot of people, like, you don't have to be athletic to be an esports person. You just have to be good at your game that you want to do. And there's so many different levels of esports now that it's nice to see it coming into the mainstream and being a legitimized thing. I mean, I know we say sport, even though technically it's not a sport, it's a competition. But it's I love that you pointed that out, because it really does. Like, I grew up, I was a sports person and didn't accept my nerdiness until college. I played video games growing up because, I mean, you know, if you're in your 30s and you didn't play video games growing up, something's probably wrong with you, because we're the generation they kind of were built upon. So anyway.
I think about that a lot though. Like I think about, you know, people often ask like, why are there as many girls? And I'm like, well, like girls in my generation, like I had friends whose parents actively said like, nah, not for you, kid. Like, no, you're not gonna play video games. And like, so there's definitely some divides where like my friends that I grew up with in high school and college, I'm like, oh man, I'm really excited for this game coming out, and they've only vaguely heard of it, and I'm like, don't you play on the computer when you get home a little bit from work? And they're like, oh, I stare at the computer all day. I don't want to come home and like do more computer. And I'm like, what? What do you? How do you fill your day? Like, what goes on in your life? Like, it's there's a big divide, you know. In
there is
the gamers and non-gamers, but the generation younger than us, the fact that like you can say Fortnite and like everyone can do a little dance from it with these kids, like feel about Fortnite however you want. The ability to bring a game together, like that's what Pokemon was for me growing up. Like everyone knew a little bit of what Pokemon was.
Right. So everybody knew, even if you didn't have a Game Boy, you knew what Pokemon was, because at least one of your friends had a Game Boy and had Pokemon, because that's the game you had for your Game Boy.
It was a phenomenon, and stuff like that moves our industry forward, you know, a lot. It got a lot more people playing games. Like people that didn't have Game Boys in their hand had one after Pokemon, you know. Older kids, younger kids, girls, boys, everybody had, you know.
I didn't have the first edition of the Game Boy. I had the Game Boy Color. And Pokemon Yellow was my first Game Boy game for my Game Boy Color. And I remember when my little brother got his, because we're like 6 years apart, so we're sort of in the same generation, but sort of not. Like familial when we're in the same generation, but there's definitely a divide, because I reside on that generation, what is it, Generation Y or whatever, and then millennials.
I'm a millennial.
Yeah, and he's a straight up millennial because he was born in the 90s, and I like early 80s. So, it, there's that cross pollination always for every generation. You're usually more than one generation. Um,
As Eliza Scherzer said, you're an elder millennial. That's all.
yes, yes. Uh, so we do have some different perspectives, even though there's only 6 years between us. But I remember when he got his Game Boy Advance. Like, we usually got all of our shit secondhand, and my parents one year were able to buy him a Game Boy Advance, like firsthand. Like, he was able to get the brand new thing. Oh my god, that kid was so excited
Oh,
about his Game Boy Advance, and it was the one with the backlit screen and everything. Like, it was so
0
adorable.
to 60, damn.
It was so adorable. It was like, yes, yay! I'm so happy for you, little bro. So yeah, that's my Game Boy. It's one of my favorite Game Boy stories.
I just remember, like, even, like, maybe not everyone had a Game Boy, maybe not everyone even had a full deck of cards, but, like, even, like, the littlest kid had, like, a single Rattata card that he was like, this is mine. Like, everyone had just, like, some little, like, one finger on the Pokemon, like, every single person in the world for, like, a hot second. And, oh, God.
I
It's
mean,
so cool.
we lived out in the middle of nowhere in the country. So we had to get up early in the morning to make it to the bus. I mean, seriously, we were up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning waiting on our bus.
That is
God.
some torture for kids. I don't know
Yeah,
why
it
our
is.
parents put us all through that stuff.
So we would watch, for some reason, they would play Pokemon in the morning. So we always watched Pokemon while we were eating breakfast, and then we'd walk to the bus stop. And yeah, like, those are some of my fondest memories, is watching Pokemon in the morning.
Ah.
Did you have lunch? Okay. Bye, babe. Love you.
Bye. I love you too.
That'll be edited. um. So anyway, all right. So moving on. Uh, what games are you excited about that are coming out soon?
Games that are coming out soon. Well, okay, I've been following this game back on the Stardew Valley, like recapturing, chasing that dragon. This game called Ooblets. It was supposed to come out sometime last year, and it's a really small dev team. I don't blame them at all. They're really working hard to make an amazing game. And I
Is
am just
it
like
O
watching that
O
one on my wish. Yeah,
like
OOBLETS, Ooblets.
okay?
And it's kind of like a little bit of a farming sim, community sim, and then there's a little bit of a Pokemon aspect to it too, where you're growing and like training to dance battle with these little characters that are all Pokemon
Oh,
based.
that game.
Yes, that game. I can't wait.
Yes,
So
that's
excited.
so cute. Yeah, I remember that announcement. Do we have it? Do you know when it's supposed to come out now, or is it still?
So in 2017 at E3, they were like, "Oh, follow us on Steam," and the whole year it said coming out 2018, and I think it's 2019 now. And yeah, they're still posting like some updates about the game on Twitter. Like I said, I don't want to rush them. It's a small dev team. I'm just sitting here waiting for whenever that comes out.
Nice. So it's okay. Yeah, it's. Oh my god, it's so freaking cute. All right, I want that game now. Welcome to the podcast where we just discuss games that we want.
Yeah, we're just wishing a bunch of games into existence. Can I have that one? That's just After Dark games, all 11 of them. Like,
Yeah, it's
on
great.
Flash. Here's the deal. I'll enable Flash on Chrome. You guys make those After Dark games.
I have it enabled already because I have to because of my job. But yeah, I will totally play some freaking Flash games. Yeah, there's a lot of things that force me to have Flash. It's annoying. I'm not even gonna lie. It's really annoying that it's not just enabled. But moving on.
I accept
What what keeps you So no. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Who inspires you to be the woman that you are today?
I mean, day by day, I am becoming my mother more and more. So starting there. Uh, yeah, my mom
Is
is awesome, and she's always been a big inspiration for me.
I was about to say, is that a bad thing?
Oh no, I my mom is so cool, and she's always been like real supportive of like what I do and like just going out and like trying things and getting involved in stuff. And so, with all this gaming stuff, like she loves it,
That's
as much
awesome.
or more than I do. It was really cool recently. She was out here in California visiting. I have an aunt out here, so two sisters were hanging out, and I brought in my makeup artist friends that always kind of do our
I
esports
saw
makeup.
that tweet.
Yes, Mama Rosa and Lorena, they're esports makeup artists. They've been doing my makeup for years and years now. And my mother was always like, they do such a nice job. I want my makeup done by them. I would love to learn to do my makeup like
Nice.
that. So this last trip out here, her and my aunt, I had the makeup artist down, and they all had the best high. It was like the Friars Club roast of, Rachel, because all over my living room making fun of me at once. But it was really sweet where they got their makeup done and they got to like, hang with the girls for a day and catch up on all the gossip about me, and
Oh,
that
that's
was really
awesome.
special.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they left and they were like, "Yeah, you are your mom. Your mom is you." They're the same person.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, my mom was very, when she doesn't understand something, she's hesitant about it. And so one year I streamed, she wanted to go Black Friday shopping. And I was like, I'm not going Black Friday shopping. That's just
You want to
no.
fight, mom? Is that what you're telling me?
Right.
Fight people?
And she's like, please, come on, let's just do it. Because we used to do it, and it was fun, and we would just go just to watch people because we love to people watch. And, but this was on Thursday, because they've updated it. They're now open on Thursdays. I'm like, I don't want to get into that mess because I think that's stupid that they open up on Thursdays. And she's like, come on, please. I was like, only if you let me stream it. She's like, I don't care, whatever. So I
Oh
streamed
my
it
gosh.
from my phone. It was hilarious. And she got to see exactly how the streaming works. Even though it was on mobile, she still got to see, oh, you're actually talking to people. You're not just like, she got to see the live cast essentially. So now occasionally she'll actually join me on when I do streams, like especially when I do baking streams and stuff. And she's got
Aw.
her fan base and she loves it. Like she has fallen in love with the streaming thing and is so supportive of it now. It's just a complete 180 from it. So yeah, so that was so my mom is actually on board with the whole gaming thing too now, which is kind
Well,
of
what I'm
cool.
hearing, like, for your mom, for my mom, like, once we take the time to help them understand it, they can really understand what, everyone's getting so excited about.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people get cranky about gaming or what people are, watching people play video games. The hell is all that about? Like, come to the OGN studio, man. Like, see that hype when you're on Final Circle and fucking some things on the roof shooting down in the casino. Like, it's exciting. It's so cool.
It is nuts to actually be in an esports arena and actually watch a live thing. It is almost more hype than going to an actual sports game. Like baseball, football, whatever. Like it is just as freaking crazy. Like it's
Well, there's
nuts.
no explosions in baseball. There's
That is true.
no explosions in baseball. There's no dragons in football, and there's no smoke grenades in basketball. And I'm just not as excited. I'm sorry.
I mean, there are fireworks at the end of the Braves games when they win, but that's
If
about
they
it.
went off like on the field as people were running, I'd be so much more. But footballers have a dangerous enough job. I'm not trying
Right?
to make things tough
Man. But yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. I like it. It's a fun little atmosphere and it's like you go home and you're like, what the hell is my life? This is so boring. Let me go back to the esports arena.
That was my mom had the same experience too, and I made her try out virtual reality when she was over here. Like she's never had the chance before, and both her and my
Oh,
aunt they put the goggles on and they're doing tilt brush, and they're just like, "It's amazing!" And they take it off and they're like, "What is this reality? I'm so
nice.
bored by this. I want to put the helmet back on."
One of the girl streamers, Carice, she got an Oculus Rift, and so she does Beat Sabers, and her dad calls her up and is like, I want to know more about this game.
Aw, that's so cute.
So he came over and showed her like her whole, because he'll pop into her streams occasionally, and she showed him like her whole setup and stuff. He went home and bought a freaking Rift and Beat Saber that
I really
day.
thought that's what my mom was gonna do. I was like, I think I just sold a Vive.
Nice.
Which is no lie, like that's exactly how I bought my Vive. I went over to my friend Dee's house and we played for like 15 minutes. I look over at my friend Kelly on the phone. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Ordering a Vive." I'm like, "Oh, me too." I got my Trevor for his birthday.
Oh, I want an Oculus so bad, like, or I just want one because I've since Beat Saber was announced, I wanted that game, and I'm so upset that I was unable to get it when it actually came out because I was really hoping I'd have the money to get like at least the PS VR to be able to play it.
Have you tried the phone VR?
I have not actually.
I've actually heard because I was playing VR chat, and a lot of people like they didn't have kind of the same articulation as people with like full setups, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're on our phones." I'm like, "Well, that's
Interesting.
I mean, you can like still participate and do a lot of the stuff with the phone apps. I really want to learn more about that too, because there's a store that has like for $15 the thing you slot it into.
That's interesting. Huh. I didn't even think it was like you could.
I'm
Wow.
like, how do you control it? Like, do you
Yeah.
have, I guess maybe like a Bluetooth controller or something.
It's got to have
Maybe
something
they were
like that.
trolling me. I don't.
I mean,
I'm realizing now that I really took his response at face value here. Maybe.
I mean,
that was bullshit.
it could have been a troll. I mean, it is VR chat. What keeps you so passionate about the gaming community, and the industry, and just all of it? What keeps you so passionate?
One of the things that keeps me really passionate about esports is seeing all the different, stars and trends and new personalities that kind of rise up over the years and start to get attention. And, learning where they came from, like what inspired them. It's always a new crop of players, especially because in esports we're lucky to get different games come up all the time, happen in different communities, and getting to see like who gets to travel the world, who gets to stand on a stage and win a big prize. It's always changing, and it feels like there's just so much potential in this industry for kind of anyone to achieve that dream. So I love getting to know the players, the people who can put time into video games and who succeed through it. I had a great opportunity when I did an AT&T event, and I got to meet this Clash Royale player called Trainer Lewis. He plays for, I think, Immortals, under that brand. But he plays Clash Royale. It's a mobile game, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is interesting. And so let me find out more about this. And he's like, well, I'm from Venezuela. I've gotten a lot of opportunities and been able to send money home to my family because of
What? That's
this game
crazy.
and this esport. And he's like, this really changed my life, and I have a passion for like, getting my friends, getting other people, these opportunities. I'm like, this is everything I love about esports. This is someone who can change their life for the better, change their community for the better, and do it in a way that's positive. It does so much for gaming. It does so much for connecting, communities around the globe, with a shared interest and, a set of rules and a fun thing to do. Esports is like, esports is going to save the world, man. That's what I believe. And that's why I'm so passionate about esports, because it's just a place where cool things are happening.
That's so awesome, though. Like, it's crazy to me, the different games, like the farming simulator esports. Like, that just blows my mind that it becomes an esport, but it wouldn't if there wasn't an audience for it.
Right? And the other thing is audiences are always looking for something new. So if
Yeah.
you have some, like, I think about how much time I spent as a young kid being so passionate about Pokemon or passionate about anime, and just me wanting to be like, look all the value, all the goodness I'm getting from this thing. I want you to have this thing too. And when you think about gamer stereotypes over the years, how like you're lazy, you're unsocial, you're not doing anything good in the world, how esports flies in the face of that, where you can say
Oh,
like,
definitely.
look at all these pro-social people who recognize that you have to eat right and exercise and be friendly to be the best at their game. And what a great example that is to anyone who wants to play video games. Like, you're a young kid and you want to put your passion into something. Well, whatever you're working at in video games, you can use in so many different areas of your life. So if you spend your youth being passionate about computers and consoles and gaming and marketing and YouTube branding and wanting to be a YouTube star or pro gamer, I'm getting on my high horse now, but like, all those things, all those skills that you practice in that pursuit are useful in the modern economy. And so I think that, you're accidentally learning all these awesome skills while you're having fun playing competitive video games.
So on that note, what is your opinion on the parents who are getting coaches for games like Fortnite for their kids? Do you think that's too much, or do you think that's like the equivalent of a parent coaching, getting a coach for their kid for football or baseball or basketball or whatever, soccer, whatever sport?
I think there's like a kind of a twofold perspective on this. So on one hand, good for any person that's able to market themselves as a Fortnite coach. If you're doing that and getting paid, that's one of those skills that I'm talking about. You're learning to be a bullshit artist, and that's cool. And maybe you're good enough and you deserve to get paid for your Fortnite skills, and you found somebody that's going to pay you. I think that's awesome from that perspective. From the parents, I think these parents don't know what the heck they're paying for. They're just trying to make their kid happy, right? I don't imagine a Fortnite coach coming in and being like, "Drop down, give me 20. Now, say goodbye to your friends, delete them out of your contacts, because we're playing Fortnite 20 hours a day." Like, that's not who they're bringing in. They're bringing in someone who's like, "Okay, here's a better way to build," and try. That it's not like an intense thing, I think, to hire a Fortnite coach. But I think those parents maybe don't really understand the economy that their child is trying to participate in. They don't understand the industry or anything. They're just sure whatevering. And that kid, I think that is getting coached by the Fortnite coach, probably at the start of it when they asked for a Fortnite coach, didn't really understand what they were doing either, the industry that they're participating in. But maybe by virtue of interacting with this coach, they could get a sense of, oh, cool, like, I have a little more idea what's going on. They can develop a relationship. They can exchange information. Like, ultimately, it's a no harm situation from my.
Yeah, I totally see that. When I first read, and I know this article came out, months ago or whatever, I was like, what? This is ridiculous. But then I like sat back and was like, but I kind of get why parents want to do it, because I look at it very cynically. Some parents, I feel, are doing it because they want their kids to become famous gamers, because a lot of the big gamers in esports are younger. Because, I mean, reflexes or whatever bullshit are faster. Although you can totally be in your 50s and be an esports player, just saying. Um,
Yeah,
so I see it from that perspective, which really is very cynical, but at the same time, I see it as maybe these parents just want to understand their kids better, and so they want to learn and play with them. So it's weird. It's weird to me, but it's also very new to. I mean, the gaming industry is still in its infancy. I mean, I would say it's probably getting into its teen years now, but like it's still only a 30 to 40-year-old industry. That's not a lot at all in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
So,
and it's we're kind of figuring out new ways and new things to, like, new jobs to have, new ways to pay people,
right.
new ways to develop an economy where, like, okay, like, my other job was taken over by a robot, but I still need to earn money. So what other skills do I have to trade on, and how can I get other people to value them? I think it's really cool that, we have an open enough, market kind of exchange where someone could say like, "Hey, I'll do this thing if it pay me," and someone else is like, "Hey, I'll pay you for that." Like, that's neat to me, especially because there's no violence in it, there's no negativity in it.
Right.
It's the exchange of information for a fun thing.
It's like the coaching for streamers now. I see that becoming a very hot commodity right now, which, I mean, honestly, it's no different than going to like a business class and learning how to do your business better.
For
It's
sure, 100%.
so I'm all about stuff like that because all it does, it's just helps you become better at your craft. But we're getting off the subject here. I
We
just
do
wanted to
that.
hear your opinion because I find it a very interesting subject, and so many people have different perspectives on the parents hiring coaches for their kids' gameplay. So, what actually led you to become an esports host? What made you go, this is what I want to do for a living?
It was a bit of a meandering path with a couple moments of like, yes, definitely. So early on, I wanted to be a player for a long time. I've competed in Team Fortress 2, and that's what I tried to run with. And right around the time I was playing, like towards the end of my career, I guess it was 2009 maybe, or 2000. Yeah, there was a show called Championship Gaming Series on DirecTV, and this show had run for about 2 years, and it was very cool. They had gamers from Dead or Alive, from Counter Strike, from FIFA,
I
and they
vaguely
would,
remember that show actually.
yeah, they would assemble these teams under localized. And this is genius. This is the tournament competition that's gonna nail it when it comes out. If they did Championship Gaming Series again today, it would be fantastic because you had a bunch of different games, and theoretically, as the show evolved, you could switch out different games. As some games lost popularity, some gained it. But you would have teams like the New York 3D and the Carolina Core, and those teams would have a Dead or Alive player, a guy, a Dead or Alive player, a girl, a Counter Strike team, a FIFA player, and I think that was it, maybe a racing game as well. Um, and the teams would compete in all those games, and they would add up the points from the victories, and that's how the winner would be decided. So it was important to have a good Dead or Alive player, and it was important to have a good Counter Strike team. And year two is my favorite year ever because they did this big draft where the teams picked the players, and the first player picked was Vanessa Ortega in Dead or Alive because she was the undisputed champion of the female Dead or Alive scene, and so picking her was essentially like a free point because you knew she was always going to win. So like it was just a really amazing moment in gaming. I really idolized this TV gamer personality. So when I was playing Team Fortress 2 and Championship Gaming Series was running the online tournament, we were like, oh shit, this is going to be my opportunity to become like a pro gamer, because they're going to draft. They might have a gender requirement. I'm like getting under the wire on a technicality, like heck yeah. And I was, I had the free time where a lot of other people didn't, in that era. Um, but Championship Gaming Series, I don't even think they finished the online tournament. I think we got like seventh place. It was over, done, and then the thing shut down. But they came out with WCG Ultimate Gamer, which was a Sci-Fi Channel reality show. So then I started, trying to play multiple games to qualify for this show because it was different. You had to compete in a real life version of a game and in the game itself, and it would be racing games, fighting games, puzzle games, all sorts of things.
Wow.
Yeah, so I tried to become, and it was very funny at the time, and there was a lot of discussion in the esports industry about the multi-genre gamer, and that was what I practiced for. And I ultimately got on season 2 of Ultimate Gamer, and I got on along a professional gamer like Justin Wong, Vanessa Ortega, and Kat Gunn. 2 people from Championship Gaming Series were on that season. Yaz, who was a competitive Counter Strike player, and watching them at their craft, watching Justin Wong, like we'd be like, okay, you have to play this weird new game next week, and I would just pop it in the Xbox and start messing around in it, and he would sit there and he would read every page in the manual in front of the book and learn all the combinations, and then he would sit down, he would play, and he's a virtuoso, he's a genius at games. His game sense is unparalleled.
Wow.
So like at the same time, I was watching the hosts, Joel Gordine and Hannah Simone, and they would be like, "Hey, every gamer!" Like they had to know stuff, they had to shoutcast, they had to be fluent in video games, but they
Right?
didn't have to play them really good. And I was like, that looks a little more my speed because I would have to compete against people like Kat and Justin and Vanessa all week, and I'd be like, oh no, I'm not good at the video game part of this. I'm not as good as I should be if I want to be a pro gamer. So I left the WC Ultimate Gamer show and the experience feeling like I want to be involved in the space, I love it so much. I love the potential and everything about it. That big speech I gave before. I'm so passionate,
Right.
but I'm not good at the game. So what do I do? Well, I'm great at translating what they're doing for the modern audience. So when the show aired, a lot of the voiceovers were me. I was doing a really good job of explaining the game, explaining the competition, explaining how people were feeling. And so
Nice.
I sort of got pushed in that direction of maybe I should host instead. And this was right around the time that Twitch TV was emerging, and all these tournaments that we were playing in the hotel ballrooms were now being broadcast to a global audience. And so we really started to need people who were explaining what was going on in the room to what was going on for the people
And that
watching
was
the
just
stream.
what, 10-ish years ago?
I would say maybe even like 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's
I was
still
doing this, yeah.
so early. Like, wow, that's not that long ago.
Not that long, and before even Twitch TV, it was funny. I was doing it for something called Gotfrag TV, where we would go to like Comic Con and interview all the people there and broadcast it live, and that never really took off. And it was really the combination of Justin TV and eSports that brought this all out.
Wow. I find it. So I didn't start streaming on Twitch until like 2016, but I was on Twitch when it was like still the Justin TV stuff. Like it was right after they had become Twitch. And it's amazing to me how much it's like just the esports streaming industry has just exploded in 5 years or so. Like it's insane how big how much it's just whoosh. Like I remember my brother saying, "Oh, uh, Korea is doing the South Korea has their League of Legends thing going on. We're watching it on YouTube." I'm like, "What? What the hell are you talking about? Like, what?" Because he was really heavy into League, and they started watching that, and that was not even maybe 10 years ago when that was a
Yeah, I
thing.
think Twitch became the Twitch brand in 2014, and then they had only been streaming esports on there, a couple of years before that, maybe like 2012, 2011.
It's absolutely insane, and I find that interesting that you just kind of fell into being a host. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, we the company I've been a part of for the last, like, I guess, wow, like 8 years now, has is called Cyber Solutions Agency, and it's kind of a lame name, but it's funny to think that we've always just been like providing solutions for like esports. Like we've done everything from like securing visas for Korean pro players, South Korean players in StarCraft.
Wow, okay. That
Setting up,
explains why
running
it's
tournaments, like
okay.
broadcasts, booking flights. Like we've just kind of been there for the last 10 years, just like solving problems. And so it's funny that our problem solving has culminated in like, now we are an agency that provides talent that basically translates what the hell is going on at a video game event for an audience.
I mean, CSA, like just the acronym, sounds like an agency name. Like it does. And
yeah.
then when I had, I think Gillyweed is a part of CSA. Yes. And so I remember reading it. I was like, what the hell is Cyber Solution? What? Why does this have anything to do with booking talent? Because I come from like the film background, right? So the agencies have completely different names. And
oh, yes, the William Morrison.
Right. I'm like, how the hell does this correlate? But that makes sense now as to why it is the name that it is and how it kind of got into the talent portion of it, which still kind of makes sense though for the name, even though it is. I get it. It's kind of a lame name, but
hopefully it'll make a little more sense soon. But we just go by CSA usually.
That's pretty cool though. So, how long have you actually? So you've been hosting for 5 years, you said, or more?
No, I've been hosting for about 10 years now. So
okay.
It was with PMS Clan actually. Oh, maybe like 12 years. With PMS Clan, I was hosting stages at like VG Expo and stuff, doing those like.
Oh, okay.
come up here and let's arm wrestle for a video card. And like, I remember before everyone liked and wanted to drink 5-hour energies, we were on stage like chucking them out into the crowd, and people would be like, "Ow, ooch, ow," dodging them, and then like they'd all leave, and they'd all be like 5-hour energies on the floor. We used to do that stuff for PMS, but we weren't broadcasting that. Nobody saw us do that, and so it was not until like 2007 and 8 with like the WCG would run small events in New York City, and I would drive up to those, and that's where I met a lot of the friends that I still have in the industry. But we would just start broadcasting some of those like later on in my career with them.
So why did you move to California then? If is it because there's a center here, and then you go from California to wherever you're needed? Like, is that why you're here versus like back home in Jersey?
It's funny to think back, and I don't know. Have you seen the movie The Wizard, where Fred Savage and like his little brother have to get to the Nintendo tournament?
No. What? How?
California. This is an old 80s movie. Everyone in eSports needs to watch it. It's called The Wizard, and it's fantastic. They have to get to the Nintendo tournament in California. Anyway, it's been a running joke with like a lot of my friends that I grew up with on the East Coast, especially I met through eSports, that we wanted to get to California. And it's funny now because one of them lives across the street, and like one of them lives like 3 minutes away, and the other one's out here all the time, and we're just like, we did it, boys. So we did it. But what actually is the truth. My boyfriend and I have been together since high school, and we got into, like, he was into esports before I met him. I was doing, competitive gaming with Pokemon and stuff. So we kind of met, passionate about video games and passionate about competing in video games. And over the last, coming up on 14 years now, right after I did the WCG Ultimate Gamer Show was the time StarCraft 2 went into beta and then ultimately came out. And so he went pro in StarCraft 2 for a little while. He went out to Korea to compete in the first open GSL tournament.
Wow.
To, like, round of 64.
Nice.
That was what he did. So we have sort of kind of leapfrogged, on each other here throughout the industry. Because when he was out there competing, I was like, oh, I'm going to come visit and do a bunch of video content. And then, he went from competing to joining Team StarTale to then joining GomTV and becoming one of the casters. He goes by Torch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah.
I know that name.
He's got bright red hair. He's that one. So he casted for GomTV, and then he actually ended up going over to OGN in Korea and casting League of Legends out there early on, and then working behind the scenes. Then we came back out here, and he was working at IPL, IGM Pro League at the time. It was like 2013, 2014. And then Blizzard bought IPL and pulled us all down to Southern California, and we've been here ever since. So,
okay, gotcha.
Fortunately, I can do my job from anywhere. I'm lucky enough now to be close to an airport. That's pretty much all I do.
Yeah.
It's been really easy to follow him, and ending up in Southern California. This has always been my dream. I have family like right near me. Obviously, a lot of my friends and I have been trying to get to California for a long time, so we are just really happy to be here.
That's the one thing I miss about living in Georgia. Like, we lived in Atlanta, and flights were really cheap leaving that airport. Flights leaving the airports here are not the same prices, so it's different. And the thing about Atlanta is it is the busiest airport in the nation, so there's always a flight going somewhere. There isn't, because we're in the Inland Empire, for anyone who knows what that is, who lives in Southern California. So we fly out of Ontario, which is, not bad. It's just closer than going down to LAX, because that's like an 1.5-hour drive for us. Mm-hmm. But there's not a lot of stuff that flies out of Ontario, because it's a small airport. It sucks.
Yeah, there's always a connection these days. Airline travel has just gotten worse and worse.
I miss Atlanta Airport. Anyway, that's cool though. Like, that's pretty neat. So does he still? What is he up to now? Just curious.
So Torch actually works for Blizzard doing their Overwatch eSports. So he does like everything that is not the OWL for Overwatch eSports.
Okay, that's why I know the name. All right, that's cool. That's what's up.
Yeah,
So,
he's great. My boyfriend is the greatest dude. I love him so
I
much.
mean, there's a reason why you guys are still together. So,
Yeah, I suppose so.
so how difficult has it been to be a female host, or even has it even been difficult?
It's actually, I mean, it's definitely had its difficulties. You know, everyone has. Yeah, it's never always 100% easy, but I will say that I've actually been very lucky in that the times people were being shitty to me, I was completely unaware of it, and generally no one's really shitted me. So like, even at its worst, I've been like, huh, what happened? Who said? Anyway, like,
Nice.
there was definitely the darkest days were StarCraft early on when like I would say as moderation has evolved, my job has gotten easier and easier. Also, as my skills have evolved, I've been able to avoid pitfalls that I was rightfully or unrightfully punished for. I would say I've gotten to be a better host, so it's less like inside jokes and trying to inject my own personality into the situation where it's not really meant to be.
Right. Have you
We're, we
do
sort
you,
of made up the job of hosting over the last couple of years for esports. It's been invented along the way, and we found where to go and where not to go. I say.
have do you find it do you do you think that women do tend to get a little bit more shade in the esports world of things? Not necessarily for players, although we have seen crap with esport lady players, but for casters and stuff like that. Do you find that have you witnessed where women have had to prove themselves a little bit more than their male counterparts?
Um, yeah, definitely. People are going to be quick to hop on any failings in knowledge. And the one thing I worry about is that it always comes down to like good faith or bad faith participation.
Yeah.
And I see it as bad faith a lot of the times when people try and say like, oh, we need to diversify, we need to do this, and so they just start you know pulling anyone with the right face into the broadcast, and then that person isn't able to demonstrate the knowledge, isn't able to demonstrate the right skills, and then that person gets punished for it, and people are like, oh, it's because that person is representative of all these people and all these people aren't qualified. And you're just like, no, it's in your desperation to like diversify, you just
You
put
lowered
like
your standards.
you put somebody in that position to fill that role, and then you didn't give that person all the tools they needed to do a good job, and it's setting anyone up to fail. And I've seen it happen with anyone who gets hired for not the right spot. And
And that's a
it's getting better
disappointing
these days
thing.
as people are I don't know what to say. I've seen it happen to so many people, and I will say that people are being less shitty about girls these days, but also like it's never not going to be there. And
Right.
so at least we have moderation tools now. At least like the conversation is a little more open now. But on a person to person level, like it's always personal how devastating or not devastating it's going to be. So
Agreed. I mean,
yeah, I can only speak for myself.
As a female streamer, like one of the things that we have to deal with on a regular basis are those trolls. And being an overweight streamer myself, like I decided to start doing a yoga stream in the mornings, and I leaned heavily on my mods to help me moderate because I'm not reading chat. I don't want to, like, that's a glutton for punishment, being a fat girl doing an exercise stream, like, period. Like, that's just asking for it essentially. And I hate that I have to think about that stuff, but at least there are, like you said, those moderation tools to be able to counteract that. Because it sucks. But that's one of the things
and
that
shouldn't.
right,
Like,
it shouldn't.
And the ability to set a trend in your community and to build a culture in your community is, I think, is the most important tool for me. Even back in the day when we ran a YouTube channel and we were moderating the content, once we deleted a lot of like the girl tits blah 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 kind of comments, the comments that followed after, kind of learned from the comments that came before, and learned how to participate in the discussion, and maybe did a little less of that and a little more of the comments that we were responding to and rewarding. And so getting the tools to build your community into the community you want it to be is really helpful, because there's just like in the ocean, there's just random fucking shrapnel everywhere looking to mess up your boat, and your boat doesn't deserve it, and it just needs the tools to avoid it and fix it. I don't know.
What a
Maybe that's
lovely analogy, actually. It's not a bad analogy. Um, and I definitely, you got to be able to leave the shore with those tools.
yeah. If you want to stay afloat, I'm not justifying the garbage. I'm just saying we need the tools to navigate it.
Exactly. So for you, I guess it's been pretty easy to ignore the trolls because you're just whatever.
I mean, I would say that early on, like especially in the StarCraft days, like there were people that were participating in conversations in the StarCraft esports space, like just to be mean to the women involved, like just putting up hate threads that wouldn't get taken down, just saying nasty things that were a
Oh,
little bit out of line,
jeez.
but somebody spoke up to defend them. And I will say that over the years, I don't see that as much. So that's, I can only speak from my perspective.
Right.
I will say that like maybe those things are squashed down to a place where I'm not seeing them. Maybe they're taking place elsewhere. But whatever it is, it's working for me. And whatever tools are empowering that, and whoever is now moderating and making these decisions to build, and I participate, like you said, in a lot of different games. And so whoever is building these communities in general is doing them more thoughtfully, more empathetically, and more open to participation from more people. So
That's really great to hear because um I mean, at the older I get, the find, I guess the more experienced I get, I find it a lot easier to just handle those moments. Even though they still exist, it's just they're not as prominent as they were just a few years ago. 3 or 4 years ago, um, because it just either it's because of the gaming community, or I just find myself in a better place, so it moderates that shit better, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, but I find it easier for myself to just let it go. I mean, when I first started out, yeah, everything bothered me because I didn't know, like, why is this person coming at me? I didn't do anything to them. But now, like, 4 years later, it's like, oh yeah, that's just who they are. They're
yeah,
assholes.
you kind of learn that like it's coming from somewhere within them. It has nothing to do with you. Like, and a big part of that is learning what validation sources do matter. Like working in
Yes.
broadcast now, like I know that my producer's opinion matters. The game company that I'm representing, like their opinion matters. My peers, certain people in the industry who I know are judging me on performance and information delivery criteria. I can seek out that knowledge now, and so I don't have to kind of look for it everywhere.
That is such a valid that is such a valid point too. That's so poignant, is that you got to find those places where those valid resources are, and you're not going to get that from some random jerk on the internet. It's going to come better, that resource is going to be better coming from peers that you value, or your boss, or any of those number of things that you said. That is such a that's I agree 100%.
Yeah,
um
in the immortal words of RuPaul, if they're not paying your bills, pay them bitches no
I mean, you're right. You're right.
mind.
You're right. I just have a few more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. So, your most recent event was this weekend, which was the PUBG tournament. How was that?
The PUBG event I'm doing, it's the National PUBG League, and this is phase one of their league. It's like their first season.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. OGN is an OG brand in esports, and the quality of their production is phenomenal. They do a little like intro before they kick off the show every day, which is like a rundown of all the events they've covered over the year, from like StarCraft Brood War tournaments and League of Legends and all kinds of stuff. And it's like a mini documentary on just like some of the most amazing, beautiful events you've ever seen. Like the graphics, I don't know, everything's great. I love it so much. And so like they opened the studio here in California, and I was so excited to be a part of literally anything they're doing. And then the way they're handling the studio is they've built it for battle royale games. So they actually have what is it, like
Wow, that's got to be huge.
It's huge. It's in this old like Food Network studio, so it's really cool. The seats are really comfortable. Oh my god, they have this concession stand where they sell hot dogs and churros, and every day the sweet girl Winnie that works with the talent brings us churros and hot dogs, and they're the best I've ever eaten in my whole life. It's like a Costco. But the seats are really comfortable, and then when you're sitting in the audience, the benches actually have there's 4 players at them. It displays their names, and then it displays the weapons they're using, their health bars. We're playing PUBG in there, so it's so much information to kind of put out there at once.
That's so wild how detailed that gets. That's awesome.
They do an amazing job. And then they even have this augmented reality like overlay where they can project the map and then show you where the teams have rotated around the map. And it's really like they're pushing the limits. And every time I go in there and they show me something new, and they're like, but we're not done, we're gonna blah 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 blah. So I yeah, I'm a little bit gushing about like the entirety of the OGN production, but they do a really nice job. And then PUBG itself, the players, I do the interviews at the end of every match. So I do about 4 interviews a day, and I talk to the players after they win a match. And I have not had a bad interviewee yet.
Nice.
Like these kids like are well spoken. They know the game. They know how to talk. Like they are positive. They're a joy to talk to. So I'm sort of there, and I feel like mom. Like I feel like I'm a little bit older than a lot of them. The rest of the broadcast team, like we're all a little bit older. So we're like, yes, the kids today. They're a delight. They're so sweet. Like,
you're not that much older than them, though.
I'm not that much older. I'm 30. Like I know how old I am. But it's kind of like the original esports people that I'd interviewed. They're my peers. They're a little bit older than me. They're my age. You know, I'm thinking of like the StarCraft guys and the Counter-Strike guys and stuff. And they'll do what they want to do in an interview. Sometimes I'll just get 4 yeses and a no, and that'll be the end of the conversation. But this next generation of players that grew up watching esports pros, watching people give interviews, knowing that they'd have to give a post-match talk, like knowing that they'd have to explain their strategy. This is the second generation of esports players, and these people are savvy. They're wonderful to talk to, and
that's smart.
Again, I'm just excited for the future of this scene, because every time I meet new participants, they're bringing something fresh and interesting and exciting. And our scene is like growing and becoming so cool, and I'm so proud of them.
Well, that actually leads me to my next question. Do you like the current direction that esports is taking in America?
I really do. Well, actually, you know what? That's a big conversation. If I'm talking about the players, which is who I primarily get to interact with, and the talent who I get to interact with through the agency and through different events, yes, like the talent are learning how to deliver their message and learning how to entertain and bringing new fresh things every time. Like watching Golden Boy over the years, he's sort of been leading like the revolution in like presentation that I've loved. And then you look at the players, and like every young player that I meet, I talked a little bit about Trainer Lewis, the Clash Royale player. There's a lot of Overwatch players. I'm thinking right now of like Jake, who is one of the pros who, you know, took a turn at casting a little bit. A lot of the Hearthstone players, they're all such wonderful people, and they're really, by elevating their personalities, by them becoming more famous and more popular among groups, like they're setting a trend culturally that is just awesome. And so now when I meet these PUBG kids, these newer generations, you know, regardless of how they act privately, they understand their responsibilities as public figures, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like they understand that when they're on the microphone, they're respectful. When, you know, when they see another player down, they lift them up. Like they know how to put on a good show. They know how to set, you know, a good, signal good virtues, or if you want to be negative about it. But it's great. And I think that overall, that's really going to help the team, the scene move forward. We're going to be able to sell more sponsorships. You know, we're going to be able to have great conversations and joyful get-togethers because the culture is positive.
That's awesome. That's
yeah,
such a huge difference from what it used to be. Like, that's awesome.
Well, and
to
it's a
hear.
difference in the coverage they're getting too, right? Because bad stuff has a tendency to bubble to the top, and people like to point and draw attention to it. And there's just been, you know, a lot less of that, you know, overall. But the side of esports that I can't speak as much to is like you know, different games coming up, how money's being spent, what sponsors are getting involved. All that makes me feel really hopeful. I'm glad to see, you know, Overwatch League trying out their franchises, League of Legends responding with some changes in how they run things. New leagues like the Rainbow Six League popping up, NPL popping up for PUBG. Everything seems healthy. I think we just kind of need to recalibrate the spendings and the who we decide is the knowledgeable people and who we're paying to do those sorts of jobs.
Right.
It's always this, like, a lot of people rush in and then you have to kind of filter out the bad actors, and then it grows again and more people rush in, and then you just have to filter out the bad actors again, people who are not spending money properly, people who are making and not fulfilling promises. And I don't have names for these people. I'm just saying in the ecosystem of businesses, that's just
I mean, yeah, that's just standard operating procedure when you have a growing industry. Do you enjoy the fact that it's becoming more mainstream?
I do. Like I said, I think esports has a lot of great things to offer as far as, you know, building global communities that span all sorts of boundaries of language and location. I think it's got great things to teach people about playing together in teams and teamwork and communication.
Oh, I agree.
So, yeah, as esports becomes more popular, I think its ability to set trends in these areas is going to expand. And competition itself, you know, remember sports in high school, you remember how important it is to talk about teamwork and to talk about, you know, respecting your opponents and things like that. It's just an opportunity for even more people to learn those values.
Right, because not everybody is into sports. But maybe the person who's not into sports is into video games. So,
absolutely.
I mean, especially if we continue on this positive trend with the esports thing and teach these kids, I'm saying kids, I'm only like,
teach these kids
teach these kids like good sportsmanship, because like I grew up learning that I still have to slap your hand even though I lost the damn game at the end of that softball game, right? Like I still have to go through and say good game. But that taught me that, yeah, I can still have fun and still be respectful even though I didn't win, which is what I wanted to do. And when you need that, and I love that, especially colleges are really, really going gung-ho with the esports thing. I love seeing more colleges pop up with esports opportunities, and I think it would be cool for high schools to eventually jump on something like that. If, you know, obviously that's a cost thing, right? Like that's going to be pricey to do something like that, but it would be neat to eventually see it in in a high school format and be up there right alongside the, you know, football game, you know, the football and softball and baseball and basketball and soccer and all of that stuff, because they teach the same values. Like you said, they totally do.
Agree. It's not even that it's in addition to teaching the same values, it's also the fact that if you get, you know, a group of kids in every day attacking a video game the same way you get a football team attacking, you know, the sport of football, they're not just learning how to play that game. They're learning how to maintain their computer. They're learning how to, like, you know, show up on time, be responsible, be part of a team.
Exactly.
But they're learning these additional skills of, you know, navigating the internet, signing yourself up for things, making purchases online, you know.
Definitely.
I that, like, in addition to, like, you know, football is very physical, and then sports are very physical, and I think that is indispensable. You know, in high school, I was a fencer, and I was in the best shape of my life, and I really, like, I never used my body the same way I did when I did sports, right? I think sports are so important. You can't replace them, really, but at the same time, like, there's so much extra you learn when you're doing video games that you kind of don't get.
Right, because it's a completely different field, like, completely, and it's such a thing now. Like, I mean, everybody, whoops, I just had something go off. Oh, yeah, unload that. Sorry, guys. My OBS just went off because somebody followed the Girl Streamer channel, and I just heard it in my ears, so everybody just heard that so that will be heard in uh the actual podcast. My bad. So, what were we saying? Oh, yeah, like your phone is a computer now, and most kids have a phone around, I hate to say it, around the age of 10, 11, 12 now. And if you are not smart and don't put like proper parental controls on your phone, like your kid is going to get into stuff that you don't want them to get into. It's just so easy to access the internet now.
You can't take the internet away from kids. You can't stop them from going on it, but you can teach them
Exactly
ways to use it.
Exactly. I mean, safe internet practices.
Yeah. Which eSports is a great, entry portal. They're just going to be on Reddit, shit posting, and that's safe. Don't let them go. Yeah, never mind. Don't want them on the internet ever.
Internet is bad, okay?
Just get them those Encarta CDs and the Mind. They'll be fine. They'll turn out just like me.
So where all have you actually traveled for your hosting stuff?
I've actually been really lucky to travel to a lot of places thanks to esports. DreamHacks are in Sweden in this place called Jönköping, which is beautiful.
Jealous.
Gamescom takes place in Cologne, Germany, which is typically very hot in this middle of August, but we insist on eating pork anyway.
Really? It's during August?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is during August, but it's hot?
Oh my god, it's so hot. Well, and North America uses air conditioning to a degree, which Germany has not yet, applied themselves. Like, there's just not AC as much. Like, you don't get free cups of water with big chunks of ice in it. You get small 8-ounce cups of water that are warm from the tap. Maybe and this is also because I'm a cheap ass and I eat at the same 5 restaurants no matter how many times I go there. So I'm sure I could find different experiences, but what's immediately available is just very sweaty. I'm always sweaty. There's a lot of people in the town. Like, we went to Shanghai as a Overwatch World Cup stop recently as well, and I say recently, but like 2 years ago. And that was the sweatiest I've ever been during a broadcast. The AC didn't work in the studio, and they pointed these giant airplane fans at us. So we're like sitting at the desk, like holding onto our paper in the wind. Like, my hair looks fantastic, though. I look like I'm in a shampoo commercial the whole broadcast.
Because the hair is it's like that Beyonce fan that's always just blowing her hair back. I swear. Beyonce, I swear to God, Beyonce has a fan person who literally walks around with a fan to blow her hair back, so it always looks amazing.
She deserves that.
Like, there's no way.
That's true for her.
That would be awesome, though. Her hair just always looks like it's blowing in the wind. It's amazing.
Oh, it's good.
So sweaty, but you had Beyonce hair, so it's a trade-off.
That was good.
So what is your? This is one of the questions that I like to ask all the ladies or all the people who come on the podcast. What is your greatest challenge / obstacle that you have had to overcome in your life?
The greatest obstacle to overcome. Well, I've actually, honestly, like, I've been really lucky, and that's because I get to say that my biggest obstacle has just been, my own demon voice in my head that's like, be lazy, accomplish nothing, you're a failure anyway, like, you're not immediately good at it, so don't do it. I've been very lucky to, not have had a time where I was hungry, not to have a time where I didn't have a house, to have had access to computers and game consoles. I think it's an extreme privilege to even work in esports. And, I've been lucky enough to have been supported by my boyfriend these last 14 years, by my family, the whole way. And so it's been, on me to not make excuses for accomplishing things. And honestly, that gets really hard for a while. I know there's so many people in our industry who deal with things like anxiety and things like depression that they don't understand when things are so good that be held back by some invisible force. And so in the times that I've had to deal with that, um, that's definitely you know been tough. But um, I have always actually really been fortunate to be able to ask for help and to know when and where I can ask for help. And so I think that even in those toughest times where I feel like I've had a lot to overcome in my own head, or when it seems like everything external is terrible, I've had wonderful people to check with to be like, no, it's not, and get back to work.
Uh,
So that's what I
that's
have to say.
awesome. Would you say that's one of the traits that you're proud of, is the fact that you're able to ask for help? Because not a lot of people can do that. That's a hard thing for some people to do, is to actually ask for that help for those moments.
Yeah, I think that it's not even something that I would say is a strength within me. It's definitely a gift that the people around me give me. That they always take the time to reassure me, and so that's something that I try and do outwardly to the people in my life, is to say, like, what has helped me the most is to have people to talk to and to just listen, and to not interpose their own views or their own suggestions, and to just empathize with. And so I love the be the change that you want to see in the world sentiment. And so that's like my biggest strength and my biggest gift, is the security to try and give that security to others.
I love that you say that, because that's actually one of the credos that we at Girl Streamers try to live by, is to be that change that we want to see. Like, that's the whole point of why the community started, is to have the female perspective and to have that place where you can get together and help each other improve and get better, and know that you are not alone as a female in this industry, because it does have its tough moments, but it has its very rewarding moments as well, which is what keeps me going, because I think the rewarding moments are way outweigh the shitty moments, personally.
And I think that's what's great about the visibility of social media and streaming, is that, for a while the narrative was in other people's hands of like, this is how you had to be. And then it felt like social media, you know, put the power in everyone's hands to say, well, this is how I am. This is me. And this is okay too. I
Definitely.
love that, everyone turns on a stream. Everyone says, this is me. And I don't, there's a movie, Eighth Grade, that came out recently. Have you seen this? It's by Bo
Um,
Burnham, the comedian.
I know, man, I regret not seeing it. It was actually at the Atlanta Film Festival last year, and I went to a different movie than the eighth grade movie.
Well, it's free on Amazon Prime if you want to go watch it now. And it's
Oh, okay.
the top down is, it's a girl in eighth grade, and she does these little positivity like YouTube vlogs, and it's very like, her perspective is very unevolved, but it's also very pure. And she's just like, confidence isn't something that you earn. It's just a thing that you put on. It's something that you do. You just decide to be confident, and whether you're not, you just are by being it. And she's kind of saying it plainly as a revelation, but it's totally true that God, I love that Twitch and Twitter and Instagram are in everybody's hands, saying like, show the world yourself. Obviously there's lots of other problematic shit that comes with any other tool, that they also try to use it as a way to tell us how to be.
Right.
But it's a revolutionary act to just be yourself, and share that with the world. And I think that gives comfort to other people who can see you, who maybe didn't realize that was a way that you can be and be happy.
On that note, like, what advice do you have for a new person who wants to get into streaming or esports or casting or hosting or any of the above? Because I think they're all kind of under the same umbrella within the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I would say that it's the double-edged sword of being confident in who you are, and also earning that confidence with yourself by being appropriately critical and appropriately editing of yourself. Like, I went through all the phases of being like an in your face, big gesture, very loud anime girl, let me tell you. Like, I have I have tried to deliver messages in all sorts of forms, and I had to be honest with myself about what the most effective way to deliver my message was to the different populations that I was talking to at a time, and realize that it wasn't a failure. Realize at what time it was a failure of my message, at what time it was a failure of my delivery, to take that time to think about myself and to make sure that, sometimes I don't know how to say this even right, but it's like, be confident in yourself by knowing that you've made, someone that you're being someone that you're proud of. Like, figure out what your internal morality is, hold yourself to a standard, and then be confident and proud when you achieve that standard.
I think that's great advice. I think that's absolutely amazing advice. Um, because so many, especially when you're streaming, a lot of the things I see is they're trying to be something for people in their community. They're trying to get they're playing a role and being something different and not being true to themselves for the views, right? And
Sure.
that can get taxing for people. It can
That's
just,
also how we learn too, right?
yeah,
Like, we learn by emulating. First you see something, and then you emulate, and then you just need to take that next step and say, what of this do I want to keep, and what of this do I want to throw away?
exactly. So I have one more question for you, and then I'll let you go. What is your strongest passion outside of gaming?
My strongest passion outside of gaming, I would say, if I had, all the money and the time in the world to actualize all my passions, I would be putting a lot more time and energy into education for kids, kind of for all populations. But I really feel like a quality education is something that everyone deserves, and they deserve, to have the breakfast, lunch, and dinner in their belly, and the roof over their head, and the bed to sleep in, to be able to absorb that education. But I
Right.
really feel like educational opportunities in America and around the world are kind of unequal, and I would love to eventually use a platform like video games to make education more accessible and more palatable for a lot of different populations. So, if you see me in my old age and I have a smile on my face, it's because I have enough money to be a philanthropist and do these things. That's all I want in the world is to make things better for people. So that's the way I'd want to do it.
That's awesome. I love that passion. Education is one of my key things myself, actually. The future is the children. So that's who we should be making decisions based off of.
Absolutely. And progress is, I think, a numbers game. The more kids that we can activate, the more kids that we can teach and give the power of language and math and a full stomach and a full night's sleep to, the more opportunities we have as a world to figure out things and progress.
Oh, I completely agree. So, if people want to get you to host their tournaments or just chat with you, do they just contact you through Twitter or do they go through CSA? What are your social media things so that people can know?
Sure. You guys can find me on Twitter at Seltzer Please. Seltzer like the drink, please like the request. You can find me on Instagram under the same. I try and share some photos from, like, I don't know. I just share random shit. I always like try to do things, and you just get whatever happens as a result. Sometimes I share event pictures, and sometimes it's pictures of me in my PJs. It's not really coherent, but it's there. And if you guys want to book me for events after this long rambling social justice speech, you can find me at rachel@csa.gg. That's my booking email.
Nice. Well, thank you so much. I had a great time with this podcast. I really appreciate you being on it.
I had so much fun. Thank you so much for reaching out, and best of luck to you and the stream team. You guys are doing awesome stuff.
Thanks. And this has been a Girl Streamer podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Girl Streamers is partnered with Loot Crate, Simple Jerky, You and Racing Chairs, Glom Tom, Sennheiser, and Humble Bundle. And links to all these amazing partners are down below, so please feel free to click. Thank you guys for all of your support. Please follow us at Girl Streamers on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram. If you have any questions or would like more information, you can visit our website at girlstreamers.com and contact us through there. You can subscribe to us on Twitch, and don't forget, when you do get access to our Discord channel, and you can buy some super cool gear in our online shop at designbyhumans.com/shop/girlstreamers. You can find Rachel on Twitter and Instagram at Seltzer Please. That is SELTZERPLS. And our next podcast will be April 21st, right here with Miss Night Lobster. This podcast is a part of the Two Lazy Dogs Media Group and the Girl Streamers community. Encourage, support, grow.